Yo, what's going on, boys? How you guys doing today? Welcome back to this new video. And in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a build for the Warlock that's going to be able to use the new Strand mods, while at the same time have a lot of the advantages of Prismatic. A couple of you guys want to see a Strand Prismatic build, so here we are. And I also got some feedback on the exotic armor on the last build, and I should try it out with Prismatic, so it just kind of ended up working very well. With this build, we're going to be able to use the new Strand mods, have tons of variability, have a lot of suspend with our needles, and also be able to spam Transcendence. That's essentially the main thing that we're going to be doing with this. We're going to be trying to spam Transcendence. That's going to give us a lot of needles, so we can spam even more needles out there, so we can just continue suspending everything. So hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you do, remember to leave a like, and subscribe to the channel in case you guys aren't ready for some more builds. And also follow me on Twitch. We've been streaming a lot, so I'd love to see you over there, and that's where I test out all my builds. So for our exotic piece of armor, we're going to be running the Mataiodoxia. I'm pretty sure I just butchered that word. But we're going to be running this exotic piece of armor. We actually made a build with this piece of armor on Strand, but a lot of people said that I should try it out on Prismatic, and so that's what we're doing. With this piece of armor, your arcane needles are going to have anti-barrier, so you're going to be able to break shields with just your needles, and also every time that you damage the target with your needles, whenever you do enough damage to kill them, they do a suspending burst around them. So if there's a group of enemies and you hit one of them with your needle, kill them, they'll suspend everything around them. If you use all your needles on one big target, they also do a huge suspending burst that suspends the target, as well as pretty much everything around them. The 3 needle suspend is essentially like the biggest suspend in the game. It is a huge area, but it is going to take essentially all your needles. But thanks to this build, we're actually going to be getting a lot of needle energy, so there's times where we are actually going to be using that big suspend. And lastly, whenever you kill some suspended targets, you get back some melee energy, so you can use your needles a lot more often. So you using your needles and getting some suspensions actually helps you get more needles, so you can get more suspensions. Now for the exotic weapon you want to pair with this build, technically it doesn't really have to be any specific weapon, as long as it's a Strand primary. So that really opens up your choices. You could go with the Barrel Diet, since it's amazing right now. You could go with the Quicksilver, you could go with the Final Warning, or you could even go with the Wishkeeper if you want to go full in on your suspending. The suspending from the Wishkeeper is also going to count towards giving you some energy back in your needles, so you want to spam even more needles and go even more all in into suspend, then the Wishkeeper is actually going to be a really good choice. But any of these weapons are going to be a fantastic choice, and they're going to work pretty well with the mods. Now for our subclass, we're going to be on the Prismatic Warlock, of course, and for your super, you can actually go with any of them. But the best ones I ended up enjoying were the Needle Storm or the Song of Flame. Song of Flame is just OP, and so it works in the endgame content. Now for your class ability, while I was on the Phoenix Dive, you can go with any of them. I just really like the Phoenix Dive because of the short cooldown, being able to proc one of our aspects just really quickly, and also just a quick heal that you don't really have to stop for. Now for our grenade and our melee, I decided to keep them with the Strand ones. Needle is basically the main thing on the build, so we can't really change this. And then the grenade, I decided to keep the Threatling grenade, where he's going to be throwing tons of Threatlings out there, and whenever they hit something, they're going to be applying some Strand debuffs. So that's going to work really well with a lot of the Strand mods, and they're also just constantly going to give us some of that Darkness Transcendence energy, so we can pop our Transcendence faster. Now moving on to the aspects, we're going to be on Feed the Boy plus Helion. I was actually on Weaver School for a couple of them, but I ended up liking Helion a little bit better. It gives them very nice just free damage, and also just constantly refills your light Transcendence energy. Because I actually kind of ran into an issue where I had too much Darkness Transcendence and not enough light, and so the Helion ended up being a good way to fix that without really having to change the playstyle too much. It's just constantly putting out there some damage, constantly building up our Transcendence energy. And then Feed the Boy is going to be our survivability aspect. Every time that we get a kill with an ability, we're going to get Devour, and every time that we get some kills afterwards, we're going to heal, as well as get some grenade energy. And with all the abilities we're going to be throwing out there, the Needles, the Threatlings, the Helions, we're always going to be proccing this. This is going to be something that procs without even us noticing. Now moving on to the Fragments, the first one is going to be the Faceted Protection. Whenever we're surrounded, we gain some damage resistance. This is going to be really good, especially in some of the endgame content, just giving us a bit of extra survivability. After that, we're going to have the Facet of Solitude. Whenever we do some rapid precision hits, it will emit a Severing Blast, and whenever we are Transcendent, which is going to be a lot of time, that Severing Blast is even bigger. This gives a very easy way of applying Sever with our weapon, and the Sever is going to be a big part of the build, especially a big part for getting some woven mail. After that, we're going to have the Faceted Devotion. Every time that we kill a target that's affected by Stasis or Strand, we're going to gain bonus like Transcendence energy, just so we can build up our Transcendence a lot faster. And the second one is essentially the opposite. Whenever we have an Arc, Solar, or Void buff, most of the time it's going to be Devour. Our ability Final Blows are going to give us bonus Darkness Transcendence energy. So both of these mods are used so we can build our Transcendence as fast as possible, and we'll get into that in a second. And the last fragment is going to be the Faceted Balance. Rapidly defeating targets with light or darkness damage will give us melee and grenade energy. And this is going to increase the uptime on our abilities, especially the melee, since we're mostly going to be doing some darkness damage. And before we move on, we gotta talk about the Transcendence and why it is such a big and important part of this build. We pretty much wanna be on Transcendence as much as we can. This is why we have so many things that are gonna be building up our Transcendence, since when we're in there, we fully regen our melees, so we immediately just get 3 melees just ready to go as soon as we pop Transcendence. And then when we actually are in Transcendence, we're just gonna have better regen of both our needles and also our Transcendent Grenade. And then when we're in Transcendence, it just means that we constantly are gonna have that increased regen, so we can just keep doing more needles, suspending more targets, and extending the time that we're in Transcendence. As soon as you get it and you see an opportunity, you wanna pop it, and then as soon as it's over, you're gonna start doing damage to try to get it back again. Thanks to all the mods that are running and some of the weapons that I'm gonna recommend, you should be getting Transcendence in just a couple of like gunfights. Sometimes just one champion will fully give you your Transcendence back. Now for the weapons you want to pair up with your exotic, for your energy slot, I recommend either an area of denial frame or a good rocket sidearm. Both of these are going to build up your light Transcendence energy fast, so that's the main purpose of these weapons. Especially the area of denial frames, you basically throw one of these onto a champion and then you keep shooting them with your primary, and both your light and darkness Transcendence energy are just gonna skyrocket. I really think that the area denial frame is probably the best option if you want to just build up your Transcendence as fast as possible. Now, the rocket sidearm is also gonna be pretty good, and it also is an anti-champion weapon. That's why I also put it here, since the grenade launcher, as good as it is not a champion weapon. Now you could make it with the Seize the Mod, but that's adding a couple more things on top of it, and some of you guys may not have that. And for you heavy, you can really go with anything. You want a rocket, a machine gun, a linear, just something that deals with champions that you're gonna run into in the GM. It's gonna be pretty good. Or if you feel like you're not getting enough energy from some of your other weapons, if you feel like maybe you're not getting enough light energy, you could make this a light weapon. Or if you feel somehow that you're not getting enough darkness, you can make this a darkness weapon. That's gonna be up to you. The heavy, you can look at it as your free slot. Just put whatever you feel like is necessary. Now that we get to the artifact, I'm tired, boss. I'm tired of mentioning these mods. So we're gonna go through it real quick. I'm just laughing because of how many times I've mentioned these mods this week. But BioWeave is gonna be really good. It gives your Tango Sever and reduces Tango cooldown, so you can get them a lot more often. Unraveling Orbs are fantastic. Gives you a very easy way of getting unraveling rounds whenever you get Orbs of Power or Tangos. And the boosted version is even better, because it just gives you extra damage against anything that's affected by a Strand debuff. You'll definitely want to have Elemental Siphon for extra super energy whenever you pick up Tangos, as well as giving you another way of making those Tangos. Horror Shoulder is going to add even more Threadlings to the build. Every time that you shoot some enemies that are unraveled, you're going to spawn Threadlings, and you actually spawn quite a bit, usually like 2 or 3, depending on how much health the target has. And those Threadlings are going to sever targets, which is fantastic. And it's gonna make the Threadlings from our grenades have even more value, since they're also gonna be applying that sever. And lastly, from the final column, you wanna go 2 shreds. This is gonna give you and your teammates a lot of survivability. Every time that you defeat a target that's sever, you're gonna spawn that hotspot of Strand energy that's gonna give you 10 seconds of woven mail. This is gonna be really good, and there's not a cooldown in between activations, so you can actually get a lot of these as long as you keep defeating severed targets. And since we do have a lot of things that are gonna be severing, our weapon whenever we hit precision hits, our Tangos, and our Threadlings, we're going to be able to make a lot of these and get a lot of woven mail. And for the final column, this one's going to be up to you. As long as you don't choose Void Floods, you're pretty much good to go. And lastly, let's take a look at the mods that we have on this build. For the helmet, you're looking for a Siphon, as well as a Heavy Ammo Finder. Now, if you didn't go with the Strand Super, you won't be able to use Harmonic Siphon, so you just have to use just normal Strand Siphon. Now for the gauntlets, you want to go Momentum Transfer, Impact Induction, and then maybe a Harmonic Loader. It kind of depends on the weapon that you ended up going with. You went with the Barrel Dyad, then Harmonic Loader is fantastic. If you decided to go with a Wish Keeper, it is also going to be fantastic. It kind of depends on your weapon. But for sure you want Momentum Transfer and Impact Induction, so whenever you do some damage to your grenade or your melee, it helps steal their ability. Your chest piece is going to be the easiest one. You basically just want to match it to whatever the threat is in whatever the GM that you're doing. Now for the boots, you want to go with Invigoration, so whenever you pick one orb, you get melee energy. Recuperation, so whenever you pick one orb, you heal. And lastly, Absolution, so whenever you pick one orb, you reduce all of your ability cooldowns. And lastly, for the class item, you want to go with Reaper, as well as Outreach and Bomber. So whenever we use our Phoenix Dive, right afterwards, we're going to make an orb, and also reduce the cooldown on our melee on our grenade. I would say the mods are pretty standard, we're not really doing anything new here. And with that, that's actually going to be the end of the build, boys. Hopefully, you'll like it. And like always, there's going to be a dim link in the description and in the comments below in case you guys want to give this build a try. Now the gameplay loop for this build is essentially going to be all around being able to spam as many needles as possible. So use your needles while you're building up your Transcendence. Whenever you have it, you pop it, you spam more needles, and basically suspend everything that you see. If you see an enemy, throw a needle at them, try to kill them so they can suspend everything around them. When the enemies are suspended, you're going to get some needle energy back, as well as continually building up your Transcendence meter. So don't forget to use your helium. You basically always want the helium to get going, so you can always be damaging enemies. And remember to use your special weapon. Especially if you decide to go with the Aerial Denial Frame, that thing charges up your Transcendence energy very quickly. And because we are going to be charging our Transcendence quickly, you want to essentially just throw your abilities out there. The needles, the grenades, because as soon as you pop your Transcendence, you get all your needles back, and you also are going to have some crazy regen. So throw your Transcendence grenade, throw your needles, and just watch yourself immediately you start suspending a bunch of targets. It is a very fun playstyle, and while it may not go all in on suspend like the Strand one, just having the suspend as a very consistent part of your build, it's going to be really good. While at the same time still taking advantage of everything else that makes the Prismatic Warlock good, like the constant healing, the helium, and also having some of the best supers in the game. But with that, we're going to end today's video. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Leave a like if you did, dislike if you didn't, subscribe to the channel in case you guys haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care everyone, have a good rest of your day, peace.